Okay, picture this for a second. Your ideal world. Perfect harmony, no disagreements, just serene peace.
Sounds like heaven, right?
Exactly. Smooth conversations, everyone agrees. But here's the twist. What if that exact idea, that kind of absolute harmony, is actually, well, maybe a path to stagnation?
Or even decay.
Right. So today, we're diving into some really thought-provoking stuff. It's inspired by Dr. Nimrod Israeli's work, Between Two Theories, Part 2. And he makes this pretty radical argument.
That true progress, real resilience, it doesn't come from avoiding friction.
No, it comes from managing it intelligently.
And that's our mission for this deep dive, really, to shift how you think about this. We want to explore how contradiction, how disagreement, from tiny particles right up to human societies, they aren't flaws we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
Quite the opposite. They're actually vital. They're generative forces.
Driving emergence, innovation.
Exactly. Growth.
Yeah.
But, and this is the key bit, they have to be held within stable structures and guided by a clear purpose. We've got some examples that you might never considered quite like this.
Okay, so let's unpack this heavenly harmony idea first. Our picture of utopia is just constant happiness, no change. Then how do things actually, appear?
Right, like atoms, molecules, living cells.
Species, societies, cultures, all these complex things. Dr. Israeli challenges that directly. He argues they often result from tension, from pressure, from contradiction.
Not just despite it, but because of it.
It's not about smoothing things out. It's about how those rough edges interact, isn't it?
What's truly fascinating here, I think, is that emergence, progress, transformation, in the real world, it almost always unfolds through friction.
Not despite it.
Not despite it. It's like a foundational pattern. You see it everywhere.
Theological forces.
Exactly. Think mountains. Immense tectonic pressure pushing, grinding for millions of years. That's not harmony.
No.
Or species adapting.
Yeah.
It's a struggle, right? Constant pressure forces new traits.
So there's always this dynamic tension.
Always. A push and pull.
Yeah.
It's not just philosophy. You can observe it in complex systems.
That is a powerful point. And he brings this right down to the human level, like a company.
Yeah, that biofeed example.
Right. He talks about being in meetings where everyone just nodded along with his ideas. And instead of feeling confident, he felt uneasy.
Which is so counterintuitive. You'd think agreement means stability.
Totally. But he saw it as a sign of deeper hidden fragility.
The peril of false consensus.
That phrase really stuck with me.
And it raises that key question. Why? Why is that fragile? Why is universal agreement potentially bad?
Okay.
Well, imagine a company where nobody challenges the boss.
Yeah.
Where dissent is just not welcome.
Yeah, you see that sometimes.
On the surface, it looks unified. Efficient, maybe. But underneath, it gets brittle.
Brittle? How so?
Because suppressed conflict doesn't vanish. It just goes underground. It festers. And that leads to stagnation. No new ideas, no real innovation. Just decay, eventually.
So without that honest friction, there's no, emergence of new ways of doing things.
No true adaptation. It's just repeating old patterns. Or worse, eroding. Like an immune system that's never challenged. It gets weak.
Right. It can't fight off real threats when they appear. That makes a lot of sense. So it's not about just arguing all the time.
No, definitely not.
It's about allowing that constructive friction to actually surface.
Yes.
There's a quote from Dr. Israeli you mentioned. It really hits this hard.
Which one?
An organization that can hold and manage its disagreements will evolve. One without disagreement or without the capacity to contain it will decay.
That's the one. It sums it up perfectly.
So disagreement, if it's constructive and, crucially, held within a stable structure, it's not a threat.
It's a vital sign.
Yeah. The raw material for adaptability, for real innovation, for resilience.
The system testing itself, finding its limit.
And then pushing past them.
Exactly. Now, contrast that with places that actually welcome honest debate. These aren't, chaotic free-for-alls. They generate huge internal energy.
Right.
But then that energy gets channeled by a shared mission, maybe. Stabilized by good structures.
Like respectful communication, clear processes.
All of that. Psychological safety is huge. When you have that container, that energy becomes this incredible source of growth.
So don't prevent the energy, just build the right container and give it direction.
That's the core idea. Make it productive, not destructive.
Okay, so we see this in companies. And honestly, most of us can probably think of examples from our own work or teams where that false consensus caused problems down the line. But
Interesting.
what happens when we scale this up? Like, to whole societies?
Oh,
Dr. Israeli broadens the scope here. He suggests that really resilient societies aren't the ones that somehow eliminate conflict.
impossible anyway, profit.
Probably. But the ones that manage to turn conflict into meaning, into progress.
They don't shy away from it. They have ways to process it, integrate it.
And the kibbutz model comes in here.
It's a really vivid historical example, yes. Its strength wasn't perfect agreement. It never even aimed for that.
Yeah.
Its real power, its resilience, its innovation. It came from its ability to hold contradiction in coherent form.
Old contradiction.
It was almost designed to manage tension, to put friction to work, not stamp it out.
How did it do that? Structurally.
Well, it was built around really strong shared core values, a unifying mission, a vision for the future. That was the container.
Right, the structure and direction.
Exactly. But crucially, within that, it allowed for evolving leadership, individual expression, personal identity.
So freedom and order in tension.
Precisely. And people who lived through the early days, the really prosperous creative years, they remember these long meetings where disagreements were aired fully, often forcefully, debates going late into the night.
Wow. Not just polite discussion then.
Not at all. Passionate, sometimes fiery,
Oh.
but held within that shared purpose and structure. That tension wasn't a weakness.
It was the engine.
It was the engine driving their best years,
Yeah.
forcing them to find better, more adaptive solutions.
And the contrast later on is telling.
Very telling. As the model evolved, maybe people started avoiding conflict more, suppressing disagreements,
Trying for that harmony.
perhaps, and the core structure weakened. The mission got fuzzier,
Yeah.
that inner momentum, it just faded.
Wow.
It illustrates perfectly how that managed stabilization of tension, whether it's freedom versus order, tradition versus innovation, individual versus collective, is crucial.
You need to contain the divergence and shape it, not stifle it.
You got it.
Which brings us to this big idea, this overarching principle Dr. Israeli introduces.
The ULIC.
The universal law of increasing complexity ties all these observations together,
Yeah.
right, across different scales.
It does. The ULIC basically says that prosperity in ecosystems, economies, organizations, whatever, needs more than just effort or knowledge.
Okay.
It absolutely requires three things working together. First, energy.
Raw drive, resources, passion.
Yeah. Second, a robust structure, something that can absorb that energy, that friction, without falling apart,
The container.
the container. And third, a clear direction, something to convert the energy through the structure into actual progress.
Energy, structure, direction.
When those align, emergence happens. That leap to higher complexity, higher capability.
And without that structure.
That's often where poverty or lack of capability comes from. Not necessarily a lack of energy or talent, but the missing structure to transform potential into reality.
Like that wild river analogy you used before we started.
Exactly. Immense energy. But without the riverbed, the structure and the flow downhill, the direct, it's just a flood. Destructive, not useful power.
That really clicks.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's take this concept and really stretch it to the edge of physics.
Right. The big one.
For what, a century now, we've had this massive unresolved contradiction.
Quantum mechanics and general relativity.
The pillars of modern physics. And they just don't play nice together.
Not at all.
And this is usually seen as a huge flaw, right? A gap in our understanding.
Traditionally, yes. A problem to be solved.
But if we look at this through Dr. Israeli's lens,
Then we have to ask, what if it's not a flaw? What if this apparent failure, this contradiction, isn't a dysfunction?
but I function.
Maybe a function we haven't learned to interpret properly yet. Viewed through the ULIC, maybe the universe itself thrives because of this tension, not despite it.
Wow. Okay. How so?
Well, think about it. The universe didn't wait for physicists to figure it out, did it?
Haha. No, it kept going.
Exactly. Despite these foundational principles being in deep conflict, complexity just kept rising. Subatomic particles, atoms, molecules, life, perception, cooperation, culture,
Without missing a beat.
without missing a beat. So maybe that tension, that contradiction between quantum and relativity, maybe it acted as a catalyst.
How?
By forcing physicists to constantly rethink, to generate new ideas, explore weird mathematics, pushing the boundaries in ways a neat, tidy, unified theory might never have done.
So the struggle itself drives discovery.
The tension is part of the universe's evolutionary engine.
And you see this pattern elsewhere, too, once you start looking.
Oh, absolutely.
Like constitutions in politics, they don't eliminate conflict.
No, they structure it. They balance competing interests to allow debate and change within a stable system.
Or biology. Genetic stability versus mutation.
Perfect example. Too much stability, no adaptation. Too much mutation, chaos. It's the dynamic interplay.
Even scientific paradigm shifts.
Oh.
They don't always resolve everything neatly.
Often they create broader frameworks that can hold previous contradictions in a new light, transforming the tension itself.
So applying the ULAC here, this quantum versus relativity clash isn't just a problem.
It's potentially an essential phase in a larger process of emergence.
Okay.
The system, the universe is already energized, it's structurally coherent, it's moving towards increased capability, expansion, complexity.
So the challenge isn't just forcing them together now.
Maybe not. Maybe the challenge is to build a new foundational structure, a new theoretical framework that's big enough, strong enough to host both theories fully.
And allow their contradiction to become productive.
Exactly. To let that tension drive us towards a deeper understanding.
So wrapping this all together, what's the big takeaway?
It's that this isn't just some abstract philosophical point.
No, it's structural. It's how things seem to actually work.
From atoms to societies, it's a principle across reality.
Like stars being born from that balance of gravity and pressure.
Right. Not from stillness, but from dynamic equilibrium. And societies, or theories, they decay when contradiction is suppressed.
Their vitality depends on stabilizing and guiding those internal tensions.
Towards a shared purpose. Cohesion, advancement, flourishing,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
And that guide and the shared values, the vision, the mission that needs to be there first.
It needs to be embedded, nurtured, reinforced over time. Because the energy of becoming, of growth, it's turbulent. Growth happens through structures strong enough to contain that divergence, and direction powerful enough to shape it into something coherent, something more capable.
So just to recap this deep dive, the core idea is that disagreement, contradiction, when it's properly contained and directed.
It's not a weakness, don't fear it.
It's the engine. Evolution, innovation, resilience. That's where it comes from.
Exactly. And maybe here's a final thought for you too, John, after this.
Okay.
The universe. It hasn't waited for our deepest theories to agree before getting on with its evolution.
Right. It just keeps going?
It keeps complexifying, expanding. So the real work for us, it might not be about resolving every single tension, eliminating every contradiction right now.
What is it then?
It's learning how to build systems in science, in our communities, in governance, that can hold complexity without falling apart.
Hold complexity.
That's how stars are born. It's
Right.
how civilizations grow, how science advances. And maybe, just maybe, it's how the universe itself becomes everything it was always capable of becoming.
Wow. A lot to think about there. And maybe for you, listening, consider the contradictions in your own life, your own work. Could they be reframed? Not as problems to avoid, but maybe as opportunities. Opportunities for emergence, for innovation, for real growth.